the National Intelligence Service has procured Subarus to give an impression that this killer gang is from the DCI. The truth of the matter is that this has nothing to do with the DCI. This is the National Intelligence Service. And this squad of 1 people was formed when I was still in government. Officers were recruited from the administration police unit.
Kenya's political temperature hit boiling point today after former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua made explosive claims about the existence of a secretive, heavily armed killer squad allegedly operating under the National Intelligence Service and protecting President William Ruto. The allegations come on the same day President William Ruto himself issued a fiery warning to protesters, declaring that enough is enough and vowing to crush any form of lawlessness in the country.
Niliona ati wanasema ati sasa hawatangojea 2027 ati tupige kura. Ati wanataka kupanga fujo. Ati wapange maandamano. Ati wachome mali ya watu. Ati walete maafa Kenya. Ati ndio wapindue serikali ya Kenya kabla ya 2027. Mimi nataka niwaambie wajaribu. Watajua hawajui. Kenya ni nchi ya demokrasia.
In a dramatic escalation of tensions between the president and his former deputy, Gachagua claimed that the 101-member unit made up of specially trained officers has been behind a series of abductions, extrajudicial killings and coordinated crackdowns on demonstrators. According to him, the team was assembled quietly within the security ranks while he was still in office, drawing its personnel from the administration police service before they were subjected to covert training under the National Intelligence Service.
A killer squad of 101 that works under the Director General of the National Intelligence Service, Nuruddin Haji, was armed with assault rifles and drove in a convoy of unmarked Subarus, shooting and killing innocent protesters aimlessly in the streets and estates. This squad in Subarus, hooded and masked against court orders, are disguising themselves as DCI's officers, yet we know they are not. In fact, I would like to clarify that the National Intelligence Service has procured Subarus to give an impression that this killer gang is from the DCI.
What makes these claims even more chilling is the timing. Just 2 days ago, Kenya witnessed one of the most chaotic protest seasons in recent years, with bonfire lit across major highways, clashes erupting between security forces and angry youths, and reports of several casualties. While most of the nation's attention was fixed on the street-level confrontations, Gachagua says something darker was at play, an invisible hand coordinating lethal force from the shadows. These officers, he alleges, operate in unmarked Subaru vehicles, wear plain clothes, and often masquerade as regular detectives. Their main objective: to neutralize any threat to the presidency, not through legal channels, but through brute force, intimidation, and elimination. The squad, Gachagua suggests, played a central role in the violent crackdown on Sabasaba protesters and could be connected to the mysterious death of blogger Albert Ojwang, who was recently found dead under suspicious circumstances.
The killings and the business destruction pattern point to William Ruto's ethnic profiling narrative, which he is a master with no rival. With a close coordination of PS Interior Raymond Omolo, this narrative was boosted online by state bloggers to spin the narrative. The Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen's public to shoot to kill order, coupled with assurances to police officers that the government will not cooperate with the investigators in police conduct.
This revelation has cast a fresh cloud over the government's response to the growing wave of dissent sweeping across the country. President William Ruto, who earlier in the day was visibly livid during a public appearance, said the era of anarchy must come to an end and vowed to use every means available to protect Kenya's property, peace, and national unity. While he did not respond directly to Gachagua's allegations, his message was clear: those behind recent protests will face the full weight of the state.
Fujo yote wananiletea, mbona hawakuletea Kibaki? Mbona hawakuletea Uhuru? Mimi nimenyamaza, mimi nimewavumilia, lakini mahali imefika. Enough is enough. You can call me whatever names you want to call me, but I will make sure that there is peace and stability in Kenya. By all means, possible.
For observers, the optics are hard to ignore. Gachagua's allegations about a militarized protection force come at a time when the state has deployed massive security contingents across urban centers. Roads into the CBD remain heavily guarded with armed officers, armored trucks and tear gas on standby. Reports indicate that covert operations have already started to round up protest organizers, activists and even vocal critics of the government. The government has also intensified its legal crackdown. Several individuals linked to protest mobilization are reportedly facing terrorism-related charges, with Gachagua warning that this trend is a deliberate attempt to intimidate communities that have shown resistance to state policy, particularly from the Mount Kenya region. The situation, he claims, amounts to targeted political repression disguised as law enforcement.
Nobody has any plan to overthrow your administration, Mr. President. We want to face you on the ballot in August 2027. So just relax and stop crying wolf that anybody wants you out of office unconstitutionally. There is no leader here who is planning a coup, and none has a capacity.
Meanwhile, Ruto's government is pushing a narrative that paints the protest as a dangerous slide towards chaos, often associating them with external interference and criminal networks. With the framing, the administration has justified the involvement of multiple security agencies, including the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, the General Service Unit, and now, if Gachagua is to be believed, a secretive NIS-trained unit acting outside normal oversight. What emerges from this toxic mix is a country at war with itself. On one side, a government unwilling to tolerate public defiance, armed with force, intelligence, and the machinery of the state. On the other hand, a vocal opposition and growing civil unrest driven by rising economic pain, mistrust of leaders, and deep-seated grievances about governance.
Nasikia kuna mtu anatangaza ati ametoa taarifa kusema ati serikali ilipanga wahuni na watu wa kubomoa biashara na kuharibu biashara na kuchoma biashara ya watu wa jamii moja. Kama huyo mtu ni mwanaume kamili, atuambie hawa watu ni kina nani. Aende aandikishe statement, aseme ni mtu fulani, ni kiongozi fulani,
Whether or not Gachagua's claims are fully verifiable, they tap into a long-standing fear in Kenya that parts of the state are willing to use violence as a political tool. The death of Albert Ojwang, a known online critic, only deepens the anxiety, especially given how swiftly the case was dismissed as an accident. Critics argue that Kenya is creeping back towards the old days of political assassinations, unlawful detention, and silent crackdowns. For now, the country is locked in a dangerous standoff. The state is doubling down on control, promising to stamp out any form of dissent. The opposition, emboldened by what it sees as state overreach, is refusing to back down. But with both sides digging in, Kenya may be inching closer to a full-blown crisis, one where the lines between law enforcement and political repression is being blurred, and the cost of speaking out could be death in the dark with no badge, no name, and no justice.
People of Kenya are more angry than you are. They are angry because you have overtaxed them. There is wanton corruption. There is abductions and extrajudicial killings. There is ethnic profiling and other ills that bedevil your administration.